At Direct Service Overhead, we know how much trust you put in the individuals who have the privilege of working on the components of your home. We understand that a broken garage door is the last thing you want to be worried about, and most of the time, doors break at the most inconvenient times. Our professionally trained technicians service 24 hours a day, and our high-cycle parts are guaranteed to make a noticeable impact on your garage door without putting a damper on your wallet. If you're looking for need of assistance maintaining your current garage door, our team has the experience and expertise to deliver the results you deserve. Give Direct Service Overhead a call today or visit us online to learn more.
All right, happy Monday. Oh, it's so beautiful, right? Monday, got to start this week going into a bye. Going into a bye week, that's tough. Was Saturday disappointing for Razorback fans? Was the weekend disappointing? I want to know. And we have Discord questions. Are you ready? In a world where Arkansas sports talk radio sucks, Ty Hudson from the Pig Show Network. Yo, what's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans, SEC fans everywhere? Welcome to the one and only Pig Trail Network. I am Ty Hudson, one and only, creator, host, hostess with the mostest. I really hope you had a good weekend. I don't think, look, there was some folks a little reactionary to the weekend. Discord was having a meltdown about, maybe not a meltdown, but some folks in Discord really discouraged from what they saw, particularly in the second half of the Arkansas UAPB game. And probably rightfully so, especially when you're talking about the twos on the O-line. And I would even argue the drops by Warren Thompson were a little concerning too, because he does have a drop from earlier in the year. In fact, I think he has 2 other drops, so that would put him at 5 drops on the year. And now I'm not so sure. You know how they tally up drops? It's a little weird. Sometimes what seems like a clear and blatant drop is just disregarded as a pass breakup if a defender is within the area and they're making contact with the receiver. So there's some things, Warren Thompson's drops happened in the first half, and all 3 of them look pretty catchable. I think Arkansas ended the day, I want to say, with 4 drops, maybe 5. I don't know why we're not talking more about that. Auburn led the conference in drops until they played Arkansas, and of course they caught everything. It's funny how that always works out. Or guys get healthy right before Arkansas. It's funny how that always works out, but is what it is. Hey, Arkansas is hoping to get some players back for Mississippi State. So Dalton Wagner and Utsi both look like they're going to be good to go for Mississippi State, so that'll be good going into that game, coming out of a bye week, coming off a win, going into the bye week, and, licking your wounds and getting right. Also, I want to make it clear, and we had a couple of folks that disagreed with this, but a bye week is huge. And we did have someone in our Discord who felt like, nah, it's not going to do much. What? Yeah, no, it is. You're going to get some players back. You're getting healthy. Come on. You're getting healthy, man. Licking your wounds. Going back to the drawing board at some positions. It gives you a week to kind of reflect, absorb, learn from what you've done right up until that point, and also learn mostly from what you've done wrong. You're going to learn a hell of a lot more about what you've done wrong. And you're going to review a lot of film, and more importantly, you're not going to participate in much practice at all this week. And that they're going to have to. That's just where they're at. And something we haven't discussed here either is Sam Pittman. I think it was Mondays. I think when he talked to the media Monday, he talked about how easy they'd been taking it in practices and how much more physical they've been in the first few weeks, and then they had to let off the gas pedal a little bit. So I think that has been something it's something worth talking about at the very least. Yeah, Hawes made that comment on Discord. And he wasn't the only one. There was someone else in I saw it on social media where someone had, and that's actually where it really got ridiculous. Hawes' comment, I get what Hawes was saying. Hawes is saying it's not a cure-all. And he's not wrong. It's not a cure-all. It's not. It's not going to, does it really make a big difference on defense or not? We'll see. I don't think it did much last year, and I don't know that it does much this year in terms of what they need to get right on defense. You can't replace Jalen Catalon. I think Dorian Gerald has been a pretty big, at least in terms of depth, that's been a pretty big loss there. So, yeah, I don't fully disagree, but I don't know how anyone would argue against the idea that they need this bye week. And I don't think Hawes was making that point. There was someone on Facebook who made that comment, and I was just a little taken back. Like, what? No, they asked Sam Pittman where they're at and how badly they need this. You guys like the must bus? I had to do that really quick. There's the must bus for you. I was going to put just bye week, and I thought, no, that's lame. We got to have the must bus. All right, do me a favor. Like the stream. For those of you who are watching afterwards, this is probably going to be the biggest lull of the year. You know, Arkansas has been disappointing in football. They've got that losing streak. The twos struggled against UAPB. Anything Hog fans can kind of wrap around that's negative, they're going to hang on to it. And therefore, there's going to be fewer people that consume content, Razorback content. It's happening everywhere. Guys in radio will tell you the same. It is what it is. But like I said, I don't care if I got 5 people in live chat and 50 people watching these videos. I'm going to continue to do them because I think we're doing a pretty good job here. I think we're producing some fine content, some fine content. We're doing as much. I say we're like it's me and other people. It's just me, but you guys too. You guys are also a part of this. And that's why we do the Discord questions. So we're going to get to that. Before we get to the Discord questions, let's go to our sponsors here really quick. Shout out to Direct Service Overhead, who do operate out of Central Arkansas and Northwest Arkansas. They will repair or replace your garage door. You can check out their link that's provided for you down below in the description box. If you say Ty sent you, you get an additional 10% off whatever it is, whatever kind of work you need done. And they'll I don't know about estimates, but you can call them. Their phone numbers provided for you in their link on their website. And again, that is Direct Service Overhead. And of course, State Apparel, unique shirts just for you from State Pride, funny, sassy, sarcastic, and pop culture. Our shirts are hand printed on premium material that will leave you feeling and looking great. They have a store in the downtown Benton area. And yeah. Softest shirts made right here in the fine, beautiful, natural state of Arkansas. So you can check out their links provided for you also down below in the description box and in our Discord on the PTN sponsor channel on the Discord. If you click on the left side of the column, there's a PTN sponsor if you want to check them out. Right. So Arkansas also, of course, had a scrimmage. We know that. And we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. They scrimmaged against East Central. They got a win there, 77-74. People are also a little pessimistic about that, probably rightfully so, but there's also a little bit of an overreaction there. All right, let's get to the Discord question. This is for people, again, for those of you who are in live chat, if you want to chime in on Discord. I prefer that you do it in that thread on our Discord, but feel free if you're watching this after the fact or you're watching this now, feel free to answer away. Pretty simple question. I had a couple of ideas for some questions, but this one I just felt like was appropriate coming out of their final game before their bye week. It's real simple. How do the Hogs finish these last 4 games? That's it. How do they finish? 1-3, 2-2, 3-1, or 4-0? Do they shock the world? I think you would probably surprise some folks if you go 3-1 and maybe even 2-2. I don't think, based on what we've seen with the injuries, with the depth chart concerns, that lack of what feels like quality depth, especially on the offensive line, especially after what we saw on Saturday. Yeah, look, 2-2 might even kind of feel like a really difficult thing to do, just depending on how well you look at Mississippi State. I watched them play Saturday, and I wasn't blown away by Mississippi State. And, of course, we'll break them down next week. But you, the PT and pimp, what does that mean? That's right. Don't cross me. I'm a PT and pimp. So, again, what do you think? 1-3, 2-2, 3-1, 4-0. Where are you at? Or 0-4? I didn't put that as an option on the Discord thread, but or 0-4. Do you think that happens? So, yeah. What up, Ty? What's up, Thomas Nunley? How you doing, man? All right. Hawes says 2-2 at best. He's got Mizzou and State. I think that's pretty reasonable. Ramon Shiesty, 2-2, possibly 3-1. Lazoo Eagle, Lacezo Eagle. Sorry, I swore I would just call him Eagle. I agree with Ramon, 2-2, most likely. 3-1 possible. LSU is still suspect. Did you watch LSU? Yeah, sometimes players react a certain way, and you go back to when was that? When Arkansas played Mizzou in the Cotton Bowl. You remember that? They fired Houston Nutt. They already had Petrino. It was already established. If I remember right, they even had Petrino at the game. Or they had him on the phone or something. I seem to remember that. Someone help me out. They had hired him, if I remember right, by that point. But Arkansas was not the same. They were not the same. Darren, and you got to give credit to Mizzou. They played really well. But Arkansas, I think with Houston Nutt, it's different. It's different. Those players did not react. Now, you've got to fast forward a while now, right? Now we're in 2021, and this is a different group, different team, different program altogether. But it doesn't look like since the announcement they've really responded that well. So we'll see where LSU's at. I would say before his firing, I would probably coin flip. It's still a coin flip. At the time, before we knew he was getting terminated, I probably would have said coin flip LSU, maybe even LSU by maybe 10, 13 points because I wasn't liking what I was seeing from the defense. Now, things, I don't know. Obviously, we'll have another week to kind of digest where everything stands. So, Eagle says LSU suspect. Big man Ross praying 3-1, most likely 2-2. Broham says we will go 2-2 for a total of 7 wins, a huge improvement from last year and years past. Austin says 2-2, praying for 3-1. I think we are perfectly capable of going 3-1, but 2-2, blah, 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 blah. I'm not reading 2 paragraphs. And then Otto Johnson leaves me another comment. I'm not reading all that. I'm moving on. Kelly Marie says 2-2, best case scenario. I'll take it. Let's go bowling for the first time in 6 years. And yeah. But I think Hawes says Mizzou and State. I think those are your 2 most likely. So yeah, but those are all solid answers. Soccer says if you like football. Yeah, but wrong sport. Come on, man. Get out of here with that. Let me scroll up for chat. Big Donnelly, hope you're doing well. Do me a favor, guys. Like the stream. Share the content. It is it's a lull, right? Like people are just there's information out there. There's some really juicy stuff out there, but people just don't want to. Look, man, Hogs are going into a bye week, and they kind of suck there going into the bye week. It's hard to get excited. Mike and Nim says Musk's got some coaching to do, but he can handle it. Edward Hatcher says we may end up with 8 wins if we have Johnson as our main running back. Dude is a beast. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about with that. We're going to touch on that. For the Mississippi State game, if Dominic Johnson and Rocket are not RB1, RB2, or vice versa, I will be greatly disappointed. Sam Pittman, I think, acknowledges this now. I think it's kind of It feels like it's settled that Dominic and Raheem are going to get the bulk of the carries. We'll see. Traylon Smith just isn't it, man. He's not it. I don't think he's – they want to play – let's be real. What they want to do is they want to play power run. That's what this is. It's dressed up to look all fancy and sexy. You know, you've got a dual threat quarterback with a hell of an arm and can tuck it and run and has done a great job. KJ's been honestly above what a lot of people thought he was capable of doing. But really what you are is a power run offense. And it's hard to do that with someone like Traylon. I don't know that Traylon really fits. It's not to say that he's not good for some great games. He's had some good games this year, no doubt. But I think based on the evidence, based on the sample size that we have so far, it's got to be Dominic and Raheem with a mix of Traylon and AJ as your 3 and 4 as your kind of change of pace. It is a running back by committee, and I don't mind that. I don't mind that a third or even a fourth back get involved. And you hope that for the future it doesn't discourage someone like A.J. Green, right? He's getting fewer and fewer carries. Of course, he's made some mistakes on special teams and so on and so forth. What happened to Kendall Catalan? I don't know. I mean, remember, he was a walk-on receiver. Someone who, if I remember right, did pretty well in spring camp. I think he did okay in fall camp. And I know he got a little banged up. He got banged up somewhere in there. And I'll be honest, I haven't kept up with him a lot. Didn't think he would have much of an impact. But, I thought the same about Tyson. And Tyson Morris has come on really strong. 1 and 3 says Cody Phillips with the Mizzou win. That's reasonable. I mean, it really is. That puts you at 6. Kendall, not Jalen. Yeah, so we know Jalen Catalan's out. Kendall is wide receiver. Kendall plays wide out. Unless they moved him, I'll be honest, I didn't keep up with him a lot. 0-4 is a possibility though our D is suspect. 0-4 is a possibility, though our D is suspect. Defense is very suspect, and I don't know how you overcome some of the deficiencies that they have on D. I really don't. Look, I mean, Blood's saying 0-4 wants some of Cody to smoke it. Like, dude, if you don't think that's a possibility, I think it is. I think it's absolute. I don't think it happens, but it's on the table. 0-4 is as much on the table as anything else based on what we've seen from this defense. Based on what we've seen from the twos who don't look, I'm going to argue on either side of the ball, but mostly on the offense, now we see why Ty Clary has been the primary backup through multiple positions. We're starting to get it. Oh, that's what's going on. Not saying it's a talent issue. It might just be a grasping the concept of what they're doing, right? This is, it's not like you plug and play, right? They're not there yet. They're not in a position where they can just plug a guy in and move. Clearly, they're not there yet. It feels like one more injury on the offensive line, you might be in some real trouble. Again, thankfully, you get Dalton Wagner back. That'll be huge. But there's a reason we're starting to understand this now. I'm not saying that it happens. I don't agree that 0-4 happens, but it is absolutely a possibility. And if you think otherwise, you didn't watch Georgia, you didn't watch Ole Miss, what happened on defense in both those games. You didn't watch the Auburn game, what happened on defense. I watched 2 of those games now twice, and I'm telling you, 0-4 is on the table. It is. But 2-2 is probably likely, 1-3 more likely. 1-3 is probably the most likely scenario, unless you get a guy back on the defensive line, and again, guys just get healthy. You're not getting Catalan back. We see how huge of a difference not having Catalan on the field, how big of a difference that is. Dom Johnson had better start, or Pittman needs to have a chat with running backs coach, or Kendall Briles too, right? We have no secondary. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far at all. I mean, you were top 10 in the country even going into Auburn. I don't know that they have no secondary. I don't agree with that. Mo Brown, capable. I would argue it's a banged up secondary. You've got a Ladarius Bishop who's struggling with injuries, Catalan who's out, Mo Brown was seen hobbling around and I believe was limited in practice for a couple of weeks. They're banged up. Fouché has had to take on a lot with that secondary. Slusher got burned deep because he's not practiced a lot at that position. He's been moved around and he's been injured. Sam Pittman admitted that. He's not solidified that position. It's why, when they put Ladarius Bishop, Sam Pittman said when we settled in at one spot, the CB2 spot, he excelled when we kept him there. That's what they're going to need to do with Slusher. You can't expect a guy who's been banged up, moved around in the secondary to come in and be perfect. He's going to give up. That's back-to-back weeks where he's given up big plays downfield. No, I don't think that they have no secondary. I think that a lack of a pass rush has been big-time problematic. What a surprise. Those people that were saying that it was going to be elite have disappeared. Remember, they told me, I hope you're here when you're wrong. I'm here. I wasn't wrong. You were wrong. You're not here. You're going to call me out and say I have zero knowledge. Then you need to back it up. Where's the WD-40 at for this stupid chair? All right. Yeah, I don't agree they have no secondary. But again, I think Catalon's not playing is huge. He got burned. We forget Catalon got burned deep once or twice. Bishop, who's been banged up, missed some time. Mo Brown playing with what looks like probably an injury, but is still a pretty solid corner. So, yeah, I will agree. Are they really a top 10 secondary in the country? No, they're not. But they're at least a respectable secondary who has no help because of a lack of a pass rush. You have to have a pass rush. You have to have a quarterback. You got to make a quarterback at times feel a little uncomfortable, right? And they don't have that. D-line is main issue on D, exactly. Secondary is second issue. Only because of injuries. I don't even know that I would say that they're a big concerning issue. Most of the big plays have been given up on Slusher the last couple of weeks when you talk about the big plays through the air or when Mo Brown got beat after getting injured. I think you take away those circumstances, you're still in pretty good shape. But I do agree they're going to struggle from here on out. And I think, again, Catalon, what we also forget, Catalon was like the captain of that secondary. He's gone. Fouché is primarily, it looks to me like his role is just to cover the middle of the field, sometimes over the top. They like to play at times. They'll play those safeties closer in, and now when Ole Miss or any good offense catches that, they're going to throw over the top. They're going to look for those tight man-to-man cover situations. There's a reason why Hudson Clark got as much playing time as he did because of Bishop's injury. Remember, we were scratching our heads. Why is he out there? Well, we found out he's playing a little banged up. They're suspect. Now, if you want to talk about the depth at corner, I'll agree with that. They've got a lot of work to do. I'm still excited about where they're going. I really am. I think that the possibilities, assuming you get Catalon back next year, I think possibilities are higher than people realize for the secondary. Barely got pressure on UAPB most play. Well, no, that's not entirely true. They did get Arkansas got 11. I think it was 11 tackles for loss. I think they ended up with a handful of quarterback pressures. It wasn't as much as it should have been. I'll agree with that. But linebackers can't do it all. I agree with that. Greg Brooks is solid. He is solid. Brooks is solid, man. He's quietly like making plays. He had a pass deflection. I think he had a pass defended, maybe one or two this last weekend. I think was it Auburn or Ole Miss? He had a pass deflection. Like, Brooks is pretty solid. We overlook him all the time because he's the nickel, but thankfully he's here this year and he stayed healthy. I don't even want to imagine what happens when he goes down because behind him, Trent Gordon has been banged up. And he's moved around. Remember, they had him out at they had him out at corner defending Treylon Burks, and then they moved him to the nickel, which is in this defense, a pretty big difference in who you cover and what's asked of you and what you're supposed to do. You lose Brooks, you are, I think, in trouble because you're banged up with Gordon. I don't even know who's behind him. At one point in time, Slusher was in the mix. I'm not even sure. I'd have to double-check the depth chart. Brooks hasn't been targeted much, and when he is, he's good. Yeah, they don't really throw to who he's covering because he's got pretty tight coverage. I think for a nickel cover guy, he's pretty solid. Need to get healthy this week. Huge game versus Mississippi State. This is coming out of the bye week. This is the most important game because if you don't beat Mississippi State at home, then it really 0-4 is really on the table because I do think Mississippi State and Mizzou are your two most likely to get your wins there. Seems like when we play man-to-man coverage is the problem. Maybe play more zone. Mo Brown is a solid man cover guy. The safeties do well in man coverage when they are asked. They're typically back in zone if they're playing like a soft cover 2 or whatever. But they do at times play, when they're up in the box, they'll play man. They'll cover somebody, a running back or at times a slot guy if they don't have the nickel corner over him. There's some concern. I think they're a little bit further behind than I thought they would be at this point, the backups. Also, what about Devin Bush? Where's he been? Did he play in the second half? I don't think I saw him play. Let's see. 1-3. Bama is a loss. Yeah. Mississippi State. Okay. Had a pick 6 versus Mississippi State last year that set the tone. Do you think Catalan comes back next year? At the moment, I don't know. Sam Pittman addressed this. He addressed this last week. He said that he felt like he was coming back, but that you'd have to ask him. Yeah, where in the world is Devin Bush? I think we can deal with our defensive deficiencies if we force a few turnovers. Guys have to ball hawk, strip the ball. Yeah, they're not getting as many takeaways as I thought they would too at this point. It's kind of funny that someone wrote after the coming out of the Texas game and then going into A&M, there was an analyst, it might have been a 247 guy, that had written that Arkansas lives and dies by takeaways. That wasn't true at the time. Now it seems like that could be the possibility. All right. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Copyright strike. Okay. Let's get into this. I got Eric Musselman as the on the cover of the semi-daily show thumbnail. We got to get into this scrimmage or this exhibition against East Central, which you won 77-74. Devo, now we'll just kind of break this down a little bit. Jackson came in 12 minutes. He only had a couple of shots. Stanley was limited. JD Note ended up with 17. Tony with 10. Devo 20, if I have this written down right. It was mostly, it looked to me like a solid 7-man rotation, or that's what Muss wanted to work with. Your starting lineup for this game was Devo Davis, J.D. Note, Tony, Stanley Amoud, and Jalen Williams. They were terrible in the first half. They were awful. Likes looks like he's going to be a hell of a defender. Likes made some key plays, especially in the second. He got off to a slow start. No, I didn't get a chance to watch all the game. I was in and out of the Pinto stuff. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch Pinto. He got busted. Someone ratted him out. He was streaming the game on Twitch. He had a ton of people watching that. There was no radio. Now, someone in Discord said that radio was working and then it wasn't, so I don't know what that was all about. There's no TV coverage, no nothing. Pinto was just trying to be a man of the people, and someone done went and took it away. Why? I don't know. If it was the University of Arkansas, someone was talking about TV contracts and the SEC Network and ESPN, and apparently Mickey Mouse has full control over who gets to, what games that they can televise or whatever. That doesn't make much sense because they've been on CBS, right? So they didn't have rights to that game because they weren't there. As far as I know, as far as I understand TV contracts and deals, I'm sure they have some kind of deal with the SEC Network, but that's ridiculous. I hope that the university isn't responsible for that. I hope that wasn't truly what people were saying, which was Pinto got narked on. Snitches, I swear. He got narked on by somebody, and then UAPD or whoever, someone at Bud Walton security was like, nope, we ain't having none of that. He's a man of the people streaming that game like he did last year. And the university knows this. They've talked about it. They've had their little tweets about it before. It's been a minute. They've included him on some tweets. Like, they know who he is and what he's doing. Someone clearly didn't like, they figured out where he was shooting from, the angle, and they went and snatched him. They went and said, not today, Pinto. What a bunch of bullshit. But I'm going to be honest, I was in and out trying to watch. But, yeah, that was that, it looked to me like, based on what I saw, shot selection was a little suspect. But they were horrible. what was it, 2 for 16 at 3-point range. I think they ended up shooting 59% at the free throw line. Oh, my gosh. Those are 2 areas. Eric Musselman talked about concern at the point guard spot. No, this isn't we have so much depth, it's a good problem. No, that's not what – no. That's not what he was talking about. There's real concern at the point guard spot, which is a little unnerving to hear. Now, no need to panic. Last year they were still trying to figure out their rotation, who they wanted to start. Remember how they used Connor Vanover kind of heavy and then soft and then heavy and then eventually not at all. I mean, they're going to make different, there's going to be a different rotation. What they did do and what they responded doing, which was nice, they were horrible at 3-point range out at the perimeter. Perimeter shooting was non-existent. I did see some nice mid-range jump shots, though. I think maybe J.D. Note knocked down a 1 or 2 mid-range. Again, I was in and out, and then, of course, the stream was taken down. But it looked like they said, all right, well, if we're going to struggle, we're just now going to drive the lane, and they did a pretty good job of that. They upped the pressure in the second half and eventually took the lead. But that's good that they're more willing, it seemed like, and that could have just been the matchup versus East Central, but they're more willing to drive the lane and make something happen down low. That's good to see because at times last year we wondered, what are they doing when they drive the lane? That has been a concern the last couple of years at times, and then Justin Smith finds himself, and Jalen Williams a little bit on the offensive end kind of found himself, mostly from a rebounding standpoint. Jalen became pivotal, but the question going forward is, how do you handle, and you can say what you want about Moody's performance in postseason play, but how do they handle not having someone that's as big of a chess piece as Moody was and Justin Smith moving forward, and the loss of some of those guys? And I think that's what they're still trying to figure out. They did cut shoot around by, they spend about half an hour on average shooting around. Muss said they cut it in half. They only went 15 minutes. They're not going to do that again. He made that comment. But and then he talked about how quickly they were fatigued, and it shocked him. There's some real concern here. I mean, we're 2 weeks out. You're 2 weeks out, and you're figuring out now what you might or might not have. You got North Texas coming up in an exhibition matchup. The best 5 on the floor sounds like it was Chris Likes, Tony, Jalen Williams, Devo Davis, and J.D. Note. So it looks like a Mood who didn't get the kind of playing time I thought he would get. He struggled a little bit. You could end up with that rotation or something similar, maybe with I don't know that a Mood is going to be that bad consistently, but I still kind of wonder if it's going to be your starting rotation or your starting 6 if it's not Davis, Note, Tony, Mood, and Williams with Likes in there, probably some use of Connor Vanover. I don't know that you're going to take as many chances of him shooting out at the perimeter or not. Last year they didn't mind him taking 3 or 4 shots early on in the year, or 2 or 3 shots out at the perimeter. I don't know if they do that this year or not. They may want him, you're a little bit smaller, I think, compared to a year ago, or at least maybe not in the actual size, but in terms of the physicality and the body that these guys play with, you feel like you're not as physical as you were, and that's what Justin Smith provided. And Moody, by the way, wasn't afraid to go up and get second chance shots or second chance rebounds. You don't have that, right? Someone's going to have to kind of fill into that role a little bit. If it's going to be one of your guards, someone out on the wing, someone's going to have to step into that role, and what Moody was able to provide. He wasn't a prolific scorer, and you go back to postseason play, kind of dipped off at times, but someone's going to have to fill that role, and someone's going to have to fill Justin Smith's role. Someone alluded to the fact this could just be a warm-up to next year. I'm not ready to throw in the towel when you've only done 1 exhibition, but that is something. I've seen a couple of people make that comment, that really this is just a prelude, or next year's where it's going to be at with all that unbelievable talent you have coming in. Dude, the transfer portal this year was incredible for Arkansas. And you've got guys back. You've got depth again, right? You may not have Justin Smith or Moses Moody. I'm not prepared to say, hold up. I think they're going to be pretty good. I think they're going to be a tournament team for sure, at least based on what we've seen. How far they go, obviously that's going to depend on matchups. I'm not prepared to say, like I did last year, I said this is a Sweet 16 team. I don't know yet because you have so many new pieces and you lost some pretty big pieces. We'll see. We'll see where they're at. I don't know that I'm going to make any kind of prediction as to what they do in tournament play just yet. I'm not there yet. And again, matchups matter in tournament play. Last year, I said you weren't as concerned about matchups because you had everything you needed. You had the size, the physicality. You had the guard play. You felt pretty comfortable at the point guard. You felt pretty comfortable with what you had in your starting 7 or 8 in terms of what you could rotate with. We're going to have to find that this year, and that was the case last year. We didn't know Justin Smith would do what he did, right? And we had higher expectations of Connor last year, and he kind of let you down the second half of the season. But he had a 4 or 5 game run there where he was pretty solid. I'm surprised Hogball barely beat or barely won. Hope they fix what needs fixed. Sounds to me like he's concerned at the point guard at the 1 and the 4 spots. So your point guard and your power forward. He's a little concerned about those areas. And that makes you wonder if he does utilize Connor. Is he going to play Connor down low even more this year instead of setting him up for, stretching the floor out when you've got a 7-footer, someone that size who's got a clean shot like he does. And when he gets hot, he can land a couple of threes. I don't know that that's going to be his role this year. I'm not saying we don't see Connor take those shots, but if he's on the floor more, getting more minutes, he's going to be lined up at that 5. Maybe you go with him at the 5, Jalen at the 4, or you kind of rotate in and out of those 2 spots. Maybe sometimes you only roll with 1 4 and the rest guard play. Whatever they want to do. You feel like they can be small and quick and tough to deal with. Guys like Likes and so on and so forth. With some of their smaller guards, they can be quick and tough to deal with. But I don't know if they're going to have as many options when they want to go big like they did last year, and that's something that's a little bit concerning. In the first half of this game, guys, they were bad at three-point range. They were bad at both halves, but they were 1 for 9. They were 11% three-point range. They started the game out horrible at the free throw line, I believe. At one point, it was like 16% shooting at the free throw line. They ended up going 46% in the first half, but 42% overall field goal. In the second half, they cleaned things up a little bit. Three-point range, or the free throw line, they ended up shooting 68% in the second half, which made a huge difference. You were 11 of 16 at the free throw line. So overall in the game, you ended up shooting 44% from field goal, 12.5% at three-point range, and 58.6% at the free throw line. Your next matchup, North Texas Exhibition, October 30th, which will be a Saturday this time at 4 p.m. I don't know how many people – did they take attendance at this thing? Because I don't think they did. But I heard it was speculated that they ended up with like between 3,000 and 5,000. Gloomy weather, tornado warnings and stuff were on the way, and maybe that had something to do with it. Or that it was a Sunday. I don't know. But hopefully you get more people at this exhibition against North Texas, which will be an even bigger challenge, I think, with North Texas. Again, that's 4 p.m. on October 30th. So I'm trying to scroll down here. What are we at? What are we at here? We're at the 40-minute mark. Thank God it isn't 11 a.m. Are you talking? Wait, did they give us a schedule? Do we have the time on this game on the Mississippi State? Did they already? Did they announce that time? I don't think they have. Had they? Okay, they did. They did announce it. 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Thank you, Jesus. It's not an 11 a.m. game. In Fayetteville, it don't matter. They're loud no matter what. I'm not gonna hate on the Little Rock crowd, but y'all, that was, I don't know. For those of you who defend playing in Little Rock, this weekend was not a good example. You could hear a pin drop. It didn't matter who was on the field. At times, I know the Perotti punt return was loud. A friend of mine went, and he's actually one of those. He used to be a Little Rock guy. He used to say, I want to keep him. Now he's like, no, I want out. And you're starting to see more and more people. And I'm so glad they didn't pan over the stadium too much, because that place just needs a lot of work. And, yeah. Oliver Marmol Ollie is the new GM, or excuse me, manager, not GM, manager for the Cardinals, for those of you who are Cardinal fans. I don't know how to feel about it. I've heard Cardinal fans are raging. They're not real happy. I don't mind it against in-state guys. No, I do. Keep them in Fayetteville. Get them out of there. Get out. It's a recruiting disadvantage. It's a travel. They have to alternate. They have to deal with, thank God they had a bye week, on how they travel there simply because of the travel time. You shouldn't have to do that. That shouldn't be a concern when you're playing at home. Like, we need all that extra time, and now you got to spend X amount of hours. Jeff Long talked about it once and said that it costs like $1.5 million or $1 million to send everyone down there. When you talk about salary, worked hours, your equipment team, all the things you got to do, the university had to spend. Now, he could have been exaggerating, and maybe I misunderstood him, but I swear he said it costs about $1 million to play a home game. And you can't host. I'm sorry, you can't host recruits. I want out of Little Rock. They need to stop now. Just quit. It's just dumb to me that we're still down there. And I know what it means to people down there. And I know that, like I said, I think the most diehard fans in this state are located in Central, South, Arkansas, the Delta, Northeast. Those are the most diehard, hardcore Hog fans. And we talk about travel time. But, guys, there's not very many teams. Think about Longhorn fans. Think about I don't know, name any state that has one primary team and how far that state has to travel. I get it. I've had some great memories down there. I've talked about this before, but it's time to stop. It is. We're placating to people, to the richest of the rich down in Little Rock. We're placating to them, keeping them happy, and I think I'm over it. It's a recruiting disadvantage. You've already got this game down in Arlington. No, I think it's time to stop. Hornsby will be fine. Remember last year. So now I'm going to have to disagree with you on if you're making a Malik Hornsby, KJ Jefferson comparison. I'm going to have to disagree because the one time we got to see KJ Jefferson start last year. Now Malik hasn't had an opportunity to start yet. What did he do? And then ask yourself, could Malik Hornsby do that? Anybody want to fill him in? Anybody? He went on the road against Mizzou. The offense was faster, more consistent, and against a salty Mizzou defense, by the way. At the time, top 4 in the SEC. At the time, one of the better home defensive teams. Went on the road, had over 320 yards total offense. What did he end up with? 4 touchdowns, 3 or 4 touchdowns. Delivering strikes, bombs down the field. Mizzou could not handle KJ Jefferson. What year was he? And what year is Malik Hornsby? He was a redshirt freshman last year. Malik Hornsby is a redshirt freshman. Malik is behind KJ Jefferson in terms of where they're at in their careers at Arkansas. Now, I'm not saying that to say that Malik's going to be a bad quarterback. I'm not making that argument at all. We need to be patient. Let him develop. But there is some concern right now. He is not where he's supposed to be at. He's not anywhere near where he's supposed to be at, and he's been given multiple opportunities to play this year, whether because of KJ's out with an injury or because of this game against Little Rock. He's had multiple opportunities. You go to that second half against Texas A&M, couldn't move the offense. He had one decent drive, if I remember correctly. If I'm wrong, correct me, please. But he's had multiple opportunities and has not performed. In fact, he still looks rattled, uncomfortable, having a hard time dissecting defenses. He's just not there yet. He is further behind than we thought he would be at. And UAPB is a prime example. Okay? Don't give me this, well, they still had their ones. It's UAPB. We're not even talking about Vanderbilt. We're talking about UAPB, man. He still struggled. Now, not all of it was his fault. And some people are going to go in blaming Kendall Briles and so on and so forth. And I would disagree with that for the most part. He's just further behind where I thought he would be at this point. And I get some of the skepticism, like, wait a minute, why is he's been given all these opportunities this year and he's struggled a little bit. Now, I think he still has a high ceiling. I think he's one of the most athletic players on the field no matter who you're up against. When you talk about in terms of just raw speed and what he can do in the RPO, I think he could excel in the veer and shoot and what Kendall Briles wants to do with him. But right now, there is skepticism. And we talked about this several weeks ago, and it was, if KJ goes down, how big of a panic are we in? We had an idea. Now we know. You're in some serious shit if KJ Jefferson goes down. And with how physical he is, how many times he's hit in a game, that's a real concern. And I'm saying all this to say, this is why the bye week was so imperative. Let KJ lick his wounds, and hopefully you get this weekend to let Malik learn from his mistakes, and hopefully you can't build off of what you had because there wasn't much to build off of, but he learns from his mistakes. He's still got a little ways to go. I am more concerned now if KJ goes down. I'm far more concerned than I was. And remember, you guys, some of you, and not all of you here, but there were a few of you, I remember who some of you were telling me that Malik is clearly the guy. I kept hearing KJ ain't it. Like that was something I heard. It was a reoccurring theme on comments and at times early on in our Discord, very rarely, but at times, social media, you name it. KJ ain't it is what I kept hearing. Malik's got to be the guy. KJ is it, and Malik's not the guy. So, doing what I do here, I'm honest. All right? I'm just telling you how it is. And most of you will probably agree with that. Most of you will agree. Yeah, I agree. But there were a number of people, beginning of the year, they ignored what they saw in the spring, and I get that. You got to take the spring with a grain of salt. But they ignored what we saw at KJ against Mizzou. Again, a salty defense at their place. We completely took that for granted and just thought, whatever, it's Mizzou. It's Mizzou. Looked pretty good, didn't he? And we're seeing that this year. Now, I wonder if we're going to continue to get this great play out of him. I don't know. He's taking a lot of hits, and hopefully he can keep it going. But I am concerned big time. If he goes down, I have no faith that they win another game if Malik is your guy right now. And again, he could develop to be a great quarterback. You have to it's a process, and you got to be patient, right? You got to be patient. But right now, where they're at right now, today, if KJ, God forbid, couldn't play for whatever reason for the rest of the year, I wouldn't pick Arkansas. I don't know that I would pick them to beat Rice if you had them left on the schedule. So KJ is the man, says Tyler G. I knew KJ was the guy after, and I know you did, Eagle. I'm not even sure that those people are even in chat today. Coley, I think, was sick from what I saw. I mean, we'll see what they do, and that's the other question. God. All of a sudden now I feel like allergies just rushed to my head. We'll see what they do in terms of who they rotate. Is there another quarterback on the heels of Malik Hornsby? I don't think so. I think it's kind of Malik Hornsby or bust right now. Coley's a true freshman. And I know people, they love to then move on to the next option in Coley, who's this dual threat quarterback. And we're already saying Coley's going to be the guy. We don't know. We don't know what Coley is. You got to remember, he was a low-rated 3-star. But, again, a lot of people thought, you know what? He's underrated. I've had multiple people tell me that. He's underrated. He's going to be fine. He's going to be fine in this system. So, but I always say, when we bring in the newest dual threat, speedy guy, he's the guy. If it's not KJ, then it's Malik. If it's not Malik, it's the next guy. Sometimes you just need to take a deep breath and realize it's a process. And, again, KJ's first year here was terrible. I mean, he was really inaccurate, really looked like how Malik Hornsby has looked. Then he got redshirted, right? They were able to redshirt him. They developed him through the offseason. He stuck with it. From what I understand, super coachable. He has it in between the ears. We've had people that are pretty skeptical of everything he does. Look, no quarterback's perfect. In this system, a quarterback, it's all up to the quarterback to make that right read. Okay, you're either giving it, keeping it, or throwing it, and he's got to make that decision in a split second. And so far, I think we could all agree, first down play calling, and if you are leaving it in KJ's hands, he's handing the ball off too often, or if that's by design, one way or another, he's not perfect, right? And some of the first down, we know the first down play calling has been suspect. Third down play calling has been suspect. You're still, I think, near the bottom of the league on third downs. I want to say they're just south of about 40% on third down. That's not good at all. The governor wants to keep the game there because, well, the governor only has, I mean, let's be real. That comes down to the board. That comes down to the board of trustees whether or not they keep it. The governor can say whatever he wants. I'm sure he has some influence and has connections, no doubt. But at the end of the day, it's up to the board, and I don't know how much how much of a role chancellor plays into all that. And then, of course, the AD just has to do whatever the board wants them to do as far as where they're playing at and how often they play there. If Hornsby doesn't start showing better at quarterback, he should consider moving to receiver or punt returner. I was impressed this weekend. I said it. The punt return team, I got to tip my cap. Perotti now, get this, after one game, Perotti is now 14th in the country in average punt return yards. 14th in the country. Before this, I don't even think he was in the top whatever. What a difference a game against an FCS opponent can make for you. 14 returns on the year, 155 yards, all of them in one game with a touchdown. That's 11.1 yards per punt return. Again, what a difference a game can make. Incredible. I don't know, man. Do we think that continues to happen? Probably not, but I'm going to tip my cap when they have a good game. What did Big Donnelly say? I don't know what he said. I'm trying to scroll up here. John Stephen Jones needs to be QB2 or Coley. I mean, I don't know. I want to get like just a big beanie bag. Do they make those? Like, I'm a big dude, so it's kind of hard, right? But oh god, this chair sucks, dude. I don't know about John Stephen at 2 or not. I mean, there's got to be a reason why he's not there. I don't know. Maybe Malik's just a great practice guy, and I don't know. Everyone brought up his 55% completion, but I saw more than that, says Eagle. I saw more than that. Because, again, I think there was at least a drop or two in that Mizzou game. Now he's north. I think he's like 62, 63%, I think, on the year. And honestly, take away even just a handful of those drops. Take away a small handful of drops, and he's like 65% on the year. That's incredible. That's good. I would personally feel more confident with John Stephen over Malik at this moment, and there might be a good argument for that, and that's not where I thought we would be. At least John Stephen Jones can throw, though, bro. Right. Okay. I mean, we have seen him play before, and if I remember right, and now that was a different era, and it's hard to blame a kid, but I think he didn't look very good. But we'll see where he's at, right? And maybe we do see him at some point. I see people are making the argument that I wouldn't call him. Are you calling John Stephen a spoiled brat? That's not fair. Just because of his name. That's not fair. Come on now. Big Don said, let's go after Rattler. I said, hell no. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's some drama with him, too. I've heard he's not the greatest teammate. Start a GoFundMe and get you a new chair. I don't need a GoFundMe. I could go get one. I'm just, it's the right height with my camera. And you guys wouldn't believe how big of a pain in the ass that is to get your camera angled right with your chair and the height. And honestly, it's not a bad chair. I man spread. You guys heard this term. I man spread. That's how I sleep. I'm like sprawled out. I'm a big guy, right? I'm like a tall 6'2", a short 6'3", more to love. And this chair allows me to do that. The negative is it hurts my ass and it's squeaky as hell. KJ's better than Rattler. Boy, I think you can make that argument, couldn't you? He's no longer at Oklahoma. Rattler's the brat. Okay, all right. I was going to say, you're going after John Stephen. All right. Right camera angle takes pounds off, too. Hey, Scott, screw you, buddy. Just curious on your thoughts. On what? What are my thoughts? On what? So, to sum up the end of that game, just some final notes. Arkansas now ranked 18th in the country in total offense. That's 6.62 yards per play. 32 touchdowns on the year. That's 465 yards per game. So people who are saying Kendall needs to go to the Big 12 or whatever, dude, he's got a top 20 offense in terms of total yardage. You've racked up 30-plus scores on the year. Your offense operates more efficiently now that you got the guy that can run the offense. Sometimes he doesn't make the right reads. I think you can make that argument. And sometimes Kendall has, I mean, like I said before, I think his situational awareness as a play caller is a little head-scratching at times. But, I mean, you've got, what do they rank in terms of rushing yards per game? I think they went up. I think they're like they've been top 8 all year. I think they moved up to 6th after this weekend. But, I mean, they're averaging almost 7 yards per play over 460 yards per game. That's after playing, and again, say what you want about the Georgia game. It was a mess, but still, that's after Texas. That's after A&M. That's after Georgia. That's after Ole Miss. That's after Auburn. Arguably one of the toughest stretches in college football, and he still has a top 20 total yards offense and a top 10 rushing offense. No, I'd like for him to stay here. I don't want him to go to the Big 12. I like what he's doing. Again, situational play calling has been a little suspect. His third down play calling, I've been critical of now the entire year, especially after the Rice game, which was the beginning of the year. Could they do better at finishing off some drives, getting some points? Absolutely. The Georgia game is just kind of, it is what it is because it's Georgia. And you're not facing another defense like that this year. Arkansas's defense now ranked 34th in the country, giving up, and this was the case before the game. I want to say they were 45th last week. But again, they've been hovering around about 340 a game. Right now they're at 334 yards per game, giving up just south of 24 points a game, and that's respectable. Not great. We know what happened against Georgia in that offense with a walk-on fifth-year quarterback in Stetson. We know what happened against Ole Miss where they just collapsed. Auburn, they've just collapsed. You know, their defense at times has been able to get off the field, and then they've struggled. You know, I thought the twos on defense were better than the twos on offense. I feel like the defense is actually a little bit further ahead when you talk about, especially, I think the linebackers did an okay job. Andrew Parker played quite a bit. Torian Carter. Did you guys watch Torian Carter? Torian Carter Torian Carter did a pretty good job. He did a pretty good job, and they went with primarily a three-man front. So I think that there's still hope there with their front seven. Secondary, probably not where I thought they would be, but I still have hope for what's going on back there, especially with Slusher. I think people are being too hard on Slusher. Let him solidify the position and get better, get more and more reps, more playing time. You got to remember, as a true freshman, go back and look what he did against Georgia as a true freshman. That game wasn't too big for him, and it's good to say that you have a safety where that shouldn't be the case. Coverage downfield, yeah, he probably needs a little bit of work, but in terms of what he can do in run support, he's pretty solid, and he plays the flats really well too. And in the one game that he started and completed, which was Auburn, I think he had the most solo tackles. I think he ended up with the third most tackles in that game. Not bad for a guy who's been injured for most of the year and has moved around like 3 or 4 different spots in the secondary throughout his time. I think going back to spring camp this year. So let him solidify the spot. I'm not saying he's going to be another Catalan, but let him get better and improve and develop at that one position. So, hey, Ty, what did I miss so far? Like everything. Georgia beat our guys up, plain and simple. Skip that game, and we would have beat Ole Miss. I'm telling you, Ole Miss feels like the game that could have set a completely different tone for the rest of the year. And we talked about it going into that game, like this is the game. You win this, and I felt pretty good, and I still feel after that game, Arkansas at the time was the better team. Now they're getting more and more banged up, Arkansas is, and they're just taking more steps backward as opposed to steps forward, whereas Ole Miss is taking further steps forward, and they're getting better, and they have built off the top of that game, and since then they've played even better. So they're just going in two different directions, and that's what happened since the Ole Miss loss. And you can argue that Georgia was kind of the catalyst for all that, right? Georgia kind of set that tone, but I felt like it was Ole Miss since then, two teams in opposite directions. And it set the tone for both teams since then. Who knows what could have happened? Who knows the difference that win will make? Go back to Tennessee, 98, the Sterner fumble, and you turn around and you lost to a overreaching Mississippi State team the week after, and you lost your bowl game. That team was never the same after that Tennessee loss. Sometimes teams just don't respond accordingly, and that's, I think, kind of what's happened here a little bit. Why the bye week was so huge. Again, and I know people on social media are going to talk, and Hawes brought up a good point. This isn't the cure-all, and he's right. It's not the cure-all. But having saying that, Sam Pittman will tell you, very much needed. Defense loses a lot this year, so twos need experience. I agree. Scott, you're out here. Was that Scott that was fat-shaming me? How dare you? I'm just kidding. I know you're not. I know you're not. All right. What did James Arnold say? Rattler heading to Arizona State. Oh, that'll be interesting. Browns needs to stay, put up a fence around him. It seems like some people have forgotten how bad things were before Kendall. I mean, I know they're not putting up as many points. I was really hoping they'd be around 33, 34 points a game, but it's year 2. A first-year starting quarterback in KJ who has been great this year. Had you beaten Ole Miss and Auburn, no doubt he would be on that list of people you're talking about, on the long list of the Heisman when you're talking about like those 10 or 15 names. I think he would be on that list somewhere. I really do. I think, things would be so much different had you won those games or put up a better effort against Georgia and then turn around and win those next 2 games. Didn't happen. Some of that goes on him. Some of that is because of him on Georgia, and some of it's because of poor play calling and poor game planning. But I feel like things would be so much different had they responded differently to the Georgia game, or had they been able to build off of what they did against A&M, and they just haven't. And so now it's time to regroup and get your mind right. Get your mind right. Get back to where you were pre-Georgia. That's what matters. All right, we need to stop playing. We need to stop playing Georgia from the East. We need games like Vanderbilt and South Carolina. Wouldn't that be great? I'll be honest. I didn't think Kentucky was going to be as good as they are, and Kentucky in the mix, man. I mean, the top 4 or 5 SEC teams, pretty damn good. SEC scheduling going to screw us over forever. Oh, isn't that the truth? When will Ole Miss play Georgia, let alone in back-to-back seasons? Yeah. Well, Lane Kiffin, got to give him credit. He's done a great job. I really thought Matt Corral was overhyped based on just watching him play. Go back to Arkansas and LSU, and he had another game where he wasn't too hot. I watched bits and pieces of it. I just didn't think – I thought there was a lot of hype for no reason, and clearly I was wrong, and I'll own up to it. He's been incredible. He really has. And Lane Kiffin's done a great job with him. So, tip of the cap to them. I still feel like Arkansas was better. I really do. Play that game at neutral site in Fayetteville. I don't care. Arkansas wins that game probably 7 out of 10. But Ole Miss had some things go their way, and Arkansas's defense completely collapsed. And you got to give Kiffin and Corral credit for that, right? Georgia was just an ass whooping. But I think the result of what happened against Georgia and Ole Miss, it's lingered. It's lingered, and it went into the Auburn game. And then you've got injuries to deal with. Lack of quality depth. There's that hype word around here, quality depth. So, all right, we're at the hour 5 mark. I appreciate you guys. Remember to like. We had quite a few people here, and we're under 20 likes. Come on, let's get the likes up. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. Feel free to join our Discord. Let me get you guys that link really quick. I haven't been doing a very good job with that. Hawes says it's 3 at Mississippi State. Was I looking at Eastern time zone on that? Was I looking at – it is. Okay, 3 p.m. Central. Did I say that earlier or did I say 4? Okay, I'm still good with it. It's just an hour. I'm good with a 3 p.m. kickoff. 3 p.m. kickoff. Anyways, let me get that Discord link for you guys really quick here. Oh. Come on, generate link, copy, bop, bop, bop. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Paste. Boom. There you go. For those of you who want to join our Discord. All right. Alabama makes all the schedules. Crowd goes down. Ole Miss is in trouble. Yeah, but that's going to be the gap between Corral and like everybody is pretty wide. But you're not wrong. They're in trouble if they lose Corral. I agree with that. All right. Until now, no Wednesday show. No Wednesday show. We'll be back on Friday, same time. No Wednesday show, so don't expect it. I'll remind everybody in Discord. But, yeah, I'll see you guys on Friday at 11 o'clock. We'll break down some of the top 25 matchups and just kind of where we're at that point. If there's any recruiting updates or anything like that, we will discuss. All right? See you guys Friday. Woo Pig Suey. Go Hogs. Remember, subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. Go Hogs.